Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we're gonna learn the lesson tissues. So I'm gonna start a new lesson, that's tissues. So let's continue. So humans and plants both are made up of cells and tissues, and in the previous videos I explained about the cells and the chapter is complete, and now the next level is cells together come to form tissues, right? So humans and plants are both made up of cells and tissues. That's common thing. So let's have a recap. What are cells? Cells are the smallest unit of life and they make up of all living organisms. And then what are tissues? Tissues are basically cells which are similar in structure and function. They come together, they form a group to perform the same function. So they are called tissues. Together they are called tissues. Then how are they related in humans? Why am I talking about humans? We'll find out later. Cells together form tissues and tissues together form organs. Okay? Tissues of the similar type form organs. So types of tissues, as I told you earlier, they're plant tissues and animal tissues. Then let's move on to plant tissue system today. Then the next video I'll talk about the animal tissue system. Plant tissues are divided into two types, meristematic tissue and permanent tissue. Meristematic tissues are basically where the cells keep dividing and dividing and dividing to produce more cells. So, they just keep dividing. And permanent tissue is basically meristematic tissue when they grow older. That means the meristematic cells, they grow older by dividing and dividing and dividing, and at a point, not all meristematic cells, right? Only a few. At a point, they stop dividing and they just stay there performing only one function. So why are they divided? On what basis are they divided? On the basis of dividing. Then we have meristematic tissues. I'll be talking about them in detail, and this is the point to keep, you have to remember it. Keep on dividing. Then we have meristematic tissue is divided into three parts: apical meristem, intercalary meristem, and lateral meristem. I've denoted it over here and written also, but I'll be explaining it. Over here, apical meristem is over here on the roots and the shoot. Now I'll be explaining why have I marked it over here and here. Apical meristem is basically present on the in places where the plant is growing. Shoots, it's located there because the plant is growing in length. Over here it's located on the tip of the roots so that the plant goes in grows deep into the soil. So what have I written here? Increases length of the stem and the root. So as a whole, I'm just going to say that apical meristem helps in the increasing of the length of the plant or the tree. Intercalary meristem. Intercalary meristem is present at the nodes of the plant, to increase the branches or something. And then lateral meristem increases the width of the plant. It's present over here, I don't know exactly the structure of it. It's not even, we don't learn about it. It's over here like in lines, and then it helps in growing the width of the plant to increase the girth of the plant or the strength of the plant. I hope you have understood, because we're moving on to permanent tissues now. Permanent tissues are divided into simple tissues and complex tissues. Why are they divided again? Basically, simple tissue are cells which are of the same type. That means in this tissue, such as parenchyma for example, parenchyma has only one cell. That's basically one type of cell. Now I'm not saying it's a unicellular thing or something. It has one type of a cell which performs the same function and is the same structure throughout. And in complex tissues, it's like a bunch of various cells come up together which are of different structures and functions. They come together to form xylem or phloem, but their main aim is to do one particular function. Alright, I hope you've understood that, and this is a point to remember. The cells lose the ability to divide and continue to perform a specific function instead. This is what permanent tissues are. This is how they're different from meristematic tissues, because meristematic tissues keep on dividing and these cells lose the ability to divide and they're doing a specific function instead. I hope you've understood that. Next, because I've explained that simple permanent tissue, basically permanent tissues are divided into simple tissues, we'll explain about simple permanent tissues now. Simple permanent tissue is further divided into three parts, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Parenchyma is basically packing tissue where the cells are thin, isodiametric. What does isodiametric mean? That means all the cells are in the similar shape and size. That's what isodiametric means. And they perform the function of storage of food. Then collenchyma. Cells are irregularly thickened at the corners. That means the corners, though there is a cell wall, and only at the corners, okay? You have to remember very well, only at the corners there's irregular thickening, there's lignin at the corners. They're tightly packed and they provide elasticity to the plant. Then we have sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is lignified throughout, unlike collenchyma, which is only like thickened at the corners with lignin. This is lignified throughout. So there's a cell, its entire cell wall is covered with lignin, making the cell dead and very, very hard. That's the reason it provides strength to the plants, mechanical strength. And there's no space between the cells and they're spindle shaped. That means they have tapering ends. Let's move on to complex permanent tissue, xylem and phloem. Xylem is basically, it helps in the movement of water. So there's water absorbed by the roots, and that water is taken in by the roots up to the plant, all the way everywhere in the plant. So what is helping the plant in taking the water up from the roots? That's the xylem. So the xylem vessels are only upward, they don't flow downward, because the water can't go from the leaves to the roots, it goes from roots to leaves. So it's a unidirectional vessel. So basically what it does is it transports water from the roots to the rest of the plant. But still, as I discussed earlier, permanent tissues are different from simple permanent tissue. Complex permanent tissues are divided, differentiated from simple permanent tissues, because there are various amount of cells which perform different functions, but they come together to perform the same function. Now I'll explain that, because xylem has four types of cells: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem sclerenchyma. What do the tracheids do? They allow the water movement. That means you can say they have the main role. Then the vessels, they also help in water movement, and the ends are dissolved to form a long line, like a pipeline, you can say. So tracheids and vessels have the same function. Then we have the xylem parenchyma. It stores food and conducts sap. If you noticed, just previously I just explained what parenchyma does. It stores food, and over here what do we have here? Xylem parenchyma. That means it has the same function, stores food, just an additional one. It conducts sap also. Sap is basically present in all plants. Then sap is, you can say that, like we have blood in humans, plants have sap. Then xylem sclerenchyma. Xylem sclerenchyma provides mechanical support to the plants. What do I mean? Sclerenchyma is lignified, right? I discussed earlier that sclerenchyma is lignified at the entire body of the cell. That's the reason it provides strength to the cell, and the cell comes together and form the tissue, which is a really strong tissue. I can give you an example where sclerenchyma is located as well. Coconut husk is basically sclerenchyma, but it's not xylem sclerenchyma. Please remember that. I'm just giving an example of sclerenchyma so that you can understand. Then phloem. Phloem has four parts again: sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma, and phloem sclerenchyma. Now what does phloem do? Phloem basically conducts food. Now, I said xylem is unidirectional. That means from roots to leaves, like the plant, not leaves exactly, upward. Then what is phloem? Is it only upward or downward also? Both. or only downward or only upward? The answer is it is bidirectional. That means, as you've heard, some plants store food in their roots also, right? That's the reason we have to say that phloem is bidirectional. They store food even in the leaves, even in the fruits, even in the roots, anywhere. That's the reason it's bidirectional. So it can transport food from the basically it transports minerals, some food materials, something like that. It transports it from the roots to the entire plant, or the plant to the roots. Okay, then we go on to its parts. Sieve tubes. What does sieve tubes do? Sieve tubes are basically sieves, tubes. These tubes have sieves at the the base and the top. You can imagine a pipe, and the top part and the bottom part, which are open. So in the sieve tubes, it's not open, but it has sieve plates, right? So what does this sieve do? It filters out the unwanted parts. Like if it doesn't want that particular food particle to come in, it won't let it come in. It just filters it out. Okay, it helps in the conduction of food. Then the companion cells. The companion cells help in the functioning of sieve tube. Why? Why do they help in functioning the sieve tubes? Why can't the sieve tubes work on their own? It's because the sieve tubes, after some time, they die, but they still continue to do their function. So the companion cells are stuck to the sieve tubes, just stuck to them, and they have the nucleus and everything. And because they're stuck to the sieve tubes, they help in the functioning of the sieve tubes after sieve tubes die, so that they can't be replaced or something. They can just help them function. Then we have phloem parenchyma. Phloem parenchyma again stores food just like xylem parenchyma. That means wherever the plant is storing food, it has phloem parenchyma. Then we have phloem sclerenchyma, provides mechanical strength to the plant. I told you sclerenchyma has lignin, all of that. So it's providing strength and support. So you can notice something: phloem parenchyma, phloem sclerenchyma, xylem parenchyma, xylem sclerenchyma, they almost have the similar functions. If you see, stores food, mechanical strength. Only additional one is xylem parenchyma, conducts sap. Then last part of the plant tissue is epidermis. Like, you can imagine our human body. You can see that we have an outer covering. What is that called? Skin. So the plants have an outer covering called the epidermis. It's the outermost layer of the plants. The cells are barrel shaped. If you can see my diagram, I've drawn it. There's barrel shaped cells with the cuticle on top. What is this cuticle? Well, I'll explain it later on. And these cells are coated with cutin. What is cutin? Cutin provides a waterproof layer to the plants. That means some plants have cutin on them, some plants don't. But the plants which have cutin on top of them, they have a waterproof layer like a raincoat or umbrella on top of them. And they're tightly packed, as you can see. They're barrel shaped also. I hope you understood this. Thank you so much for watching my video. In the next video, I'll be talking about the animal tissues. Basically, all the tissues which are present in our body and animals. Thank you so much for watching my video.